Okay, it's 3 o'clock. We're going to get started. Was the meeting posted?
Yes.
First on the agenda.
Commission will now take up matters to do with special one-day license applications, specifically with the all-alcoholic beverages, starting with Thomas McKay of Backstage Concessions for Saturday, February 11th, 2012, from 6 p.m. to 12:30 in the morning. It's a Winterfest 2012. There'll be a concession at the Jean d'Arc Credit Union parking lot at 1 Tremont Place. That'll be an enclosed tent. Also for all alcoholic beverages, special one day, Fernando Borba of the Holy Ghost Society.
Well, okay, before you do, Mr. Sec, who's getting a license for the Winterfest?
Well, Kira Walls is here representing Backstage Concessions.
Have Kara, if you don't mind, we'll do her just because I want, have you had the license on this before? You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last year, the year before?
Yeah, well, I was actually here for the last year that we had this, but we've had it all throughout, I believe.
Well, I understand that, but my only concern is that do you have that experience?
Yes,
Thoroughly understand
yes.
your
fully.
responsibility. You're on site
Yep, I'm on
While
site
it's
for
open.
all of it, yep.
till the bar's closed. Something goes wrong, it's my license, not Winterfest's license.
Yes,
You know, not the City of Lowell license, not some politician that's gonna say, oh, you know, no. No, it's my license, and we're
Right.
closing.
Right.
Boom. And if it doesn't work, you pick up the phone and call the police and say, you're closing. This is outdoors. So I'm very concerned about that part of it.
absolutely,
Go
absolutely.
ahead.
Well, just to make sure, it's Tom McKay's, of Backstage Concession. Tom McKay's the one whose
Is
license it
McKay's
is.
gonna have, the name's gonna be in Tommy's
Yes.
Tom's name? Okay, then you gotta make sure McKay knows. He does.
Yeah.
Obviously, he does.
And he's
You're
on
a lot
premises
easier to
as
look
well.
at than McKay anyway, so don't worry about it. Okay, Nick, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, Fernando Borba is here, though. Fernando Borba is of the Holy Ghost Society.
Yeah.
And he is representing the Society for events to be scheduled at the Holy Ghost Park at 65 Village Street, starting with the Holy Ghost Fado Night for Friday, February 24th, from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. The Prayer Night Gala for Saturday, March 24th, from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. The Holy Trinity Cantoria Night for Saturday, March 31st, from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. The Holy Ghost Queen's Ball for Saturday, April 14th, from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. The Holy Trinity Princess Ball for Saturday, April 21st, from 5:30 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. The St. John Queen's Ball for Saturday, April 28th, from 5:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. There will be a wedding reception on Saturday, May 12th, from 5:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. Another wedding reception on Saturday, May 19th, from 5:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. And there will be the Holy Ghost Pentecost Dinner for Sunday, May 27th, from 12 noon to 1 a.m., and the Holy Ghost Pentecost Feast for Monday, May 28th, from 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. That's for the all alcoholic
How
beverages.
many licenses has Holy Ghost?
There are 10 licenses for the Holy Ghost.
No, I mean total since the beginning of the year? You know how many,
Well,
his name?
Mr. Borba has, this is his first 10.
Okay.
Previously, at our last meeting, January 12th, Fernando Souza had represented the Holy Ghost Society for approximately 7 or 8,
Seven.
something like that.
What is your position with Holy Ghost Park?
I'm the vice president at the moment.
You're the vice president, okay? You know, I look at it, and it doesn't look that we've had any complaints. You've got a lot of 2 o'clocks here. You've got a lot of 2 o'clock exiting out onto the street, shall we say. Okay, it's imperative that, you know, at the end of the night, 1:30, when you stop serving and you put on the lights, and you say, you know, folks, if you had a good time, go out, get in your car, and drive home. Don't wake up the neighborhood on the way, just go home. And, you know, we haven't had any complaints, and we want to keep it that way. You're responsible to make sure that the police officer that's on duty, that's working the detail at, I don't know, did we set a time on when they go out? No, I don't think we did. But you go out with the police officer, with the sound meter, take a reading out at the end of the driveway over at Corley Stadium, write it down, put down the policeman's name and the time and date, so that in the event that we get a complaint, you're gonna have something in writing with the policeman's name and everything when you did this, okay? Any questions?
No question. None of these events are outdoors though, right?
No,
Are
they're all
are there-
indoors, but, you know,
There'll be two.
people get in.
There'll be
and-
two outdoors?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, still, they all exit, it's like, mass exit from a bar or, anything else you're getting. How many people are you, is your occupancy permit for?
380.
380. That's a good-sized crowd.
Yeah, we usually have around 250.
Now, do you have a safety officer
Yeah, we have an officer, we get one every time.
that
we have
announces checks the fire extinguisher and,
one. Oh, yeah, we just had it at, all checked in. They went over there and they checked everything, make sure everything was in order.
no. Does Holy Ghost Park
Have one,
have a safety officer?
Don't need
Under-
one unless you have a full license.
not that I know.
It's it goes by occupancy, but not by, it says any hall that has,
Well, technically, legally, they're not.
you don't think they need one legally?
Well, I can just add something?
Yeah.
With respect to the fact that the Holy Ghost Park, the building,
Yep,
has been of concern to the Lowell Fire Department,
right.
and that was brought to my attention last year. Though the Holy Ghost Society at the present time does not have an annual license, they're not compelled by at least that law, which requires that any licensee whose occupancy is greater than 99 would have to have what is called a crowd manager.
Right.
And for every 100 in a fraction thereof, you have to have an additional
one.
crowd manager. So just from what Mr. Borba had said, 380 occupancy,
Would be-
it would appear that you'd have to have at least 4 crowd managers
Right.
present at all times when there is an event.
Yeah,
Now, I know the fire department has apparently been in touch with the board of directors
Yep.
at the Holy Ghost Park, and pretty much explained exactly what is expected.
well, see,
So,
the fire department comes in and checks it. If you had a full liquor license, but I'm gonna say this right up front, I don't believe that having a full liquor license is really what's important, okay? What's really important is you've got an occupancy permit of 350 people. And so, at this point in time, I can't say you have to, but I would say to you in all sincerity, okay? Any place in the city of Lowell that has over an occupancy permit of over 99 has to have a person trained that comes in, checks all the exits, makes sure all the exit signs work, make sure all the fire extinguishers are in the place, make sure none of the doors are, blocked by tables or chairs. And prior to the event starting, tells the public at large a public service announcement. If you need to get out of the building, there's an exit here, there. People who own restaurants have to do this by law. I think people such as yourself that have a hall should have to do it too. So I would give some serious thought to that,
I'll check into it.
okay? I don't think it would hurt at all, it doesn't cost anything. You just need to take a simple course on the computer,
I'll do
and you get your certificate, and you're in business. You get one guy that comes in and says, just, let's have a ledger, we make sure everything's working, boom. God forbid there's a fire, God forbid that something goes wrong. People are going to say, well, they had a liquor license, why didn't they make them do this? Why didn't they? We're trying to, circumvent that responsibility.
Yeah,
And put it where it should be,
I'll
okay?
do- I'll definitely do that.
Give it some thought. Anything?
Nothing.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Seconded, all in favor, say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank
Mr.
you.
Borba, you just stay with it. Thank you. Commission will now take up matters to do with special one-day license applications for malt beverages and wine only, or either one. Also for, Kira Walls is here on behalf of Thomas McKay of Backstage Concessions for Friday, February 10th event, and, which is 6 PM to 12:30. And also for Saturday, February 11th, from 12 noon to 12:30, Winterfest 2010. And this is a tent that will be erected on Arcan Drive, right near the Lowell Police Station, for that weekend. And Mr. McKay his concession company is handling the beer and wine concession for that tent. Also, we have an application by Catherine C. Harbison for the Revolving Museum at the Revolving Museum at 290 Jackson Street. This is a Charles Dickens bicentenary. It's an art exhibit opening, and this will be a Tuesday, February 7th, from 5:30 PM to 9 PM.
Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Catherine Harbison from the Revolving Museum.
And Kira Walls, Backstage
Okay,
Concessions.
you've heard everything I've said, you know, obviously it applies to you, you know, I don't think I need to go through it again. Any questions? Any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Good luck. Next on the agenda.
Commission will now take up applications for special events permits for amplified outdoor public entertainment. Fernando Borba of the Holy Ghost Society for a sound system for band and a disc jockey for the Holy Ghost Pentecost Dinner, which is Sunday, May 27th, 2012, from 12 noon to 10 PM. This will be the outdoor grounds of the Holy Ghost Park at 65 Village Street. Also, Mr. Borba of the Holy Ghost Society is applying for another amplification permit for the next day, which is Holy Ghost Pentecost Feast, Monday, May 28th, from 12 noon to 10 PM, the outdoor grounds of the Holy Ghost Park.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, Fernando from Holy Ghost.
Okay, there again, it, you know, pretty much falls back on what I said here, except these two events are going to be outdoors. Again, you know, you need to
Check this out.
be sure that, you know, if you walk 5 blocks away and you can hear the band real good, you know, something might be a little bit wrong. That's all. It's a common sense license. You know, you have the right to have a good time, you don't have the right to blow the neighbors out of their beds.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Yes. Next.
Thank you.
Commission will now open a public hearing on the transfer of the all alcoholic beverages hotel license from the licensee of record Riverhawks Inc., Robert B. Barnett, President, to Aramark Educational Services LLC. Megan C. Timmons is the secretary for premises at 50 Warren Street. It is requested that Bruce J. Perry be approved as the manager of record for Aramark, and that the following license applications by Aramark for the facility at 50 Warren Street, for in-holder, for entertainment in a licensed hotel, for live music, soloist, band, disc jockey, jukebox, and also application for automatic amusement device. Mr. Chairman, this also allows for public comment.
Right. Okay, why don't you just introduce yourself for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Joe Devlin. I'm an attorney from the DeMarcus Law Offices in Lynn, Massachusetts, and I represent Aramark Educational Services LLC, which is the proposed applicant. With me is Bruce Perry, who is the proposed manager of record. If I may, Mr. Chairman, the next item on the list as well, it's essentially the same. It's all the same parties, it's the same reason.
All right.
So if we...
Why don't we just have the secretary read the next item into the record and, would that work?
We have to do them,
Huh? We have to do separate?
do we have to do them separately for the record?
For the record, I believe so.
Okay.
Okay, we gotta do them.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
We learned a long time ago, you never mess with the secretary.
I've learned of that as well, so...
You're dead in the water, trust me. Why don't you step aside for a second? Where it being a public hearing, I'm gonna ask, is there anybody here to speak in opposition? In opposition, In opposition, that portion of the hearing's closed. Anybody to speak in favor? In favor, in favor. That portion of the hearing's closed. Okay, step back to the mic, gentlemen. What I really would like to know is, Mr. Perry, tell me a little, step up to the mic and tell me about your expertise managing a facility that serves alcoholic, or shall we say, adult beverages.
Okay, my name is Bruce Perry. I live in Groveland, Massachusetts. For the last 25 years, I've worked for Aramark. The last 2 years here at the university. The last year and a half working as the manager with Bob Barnett as an agent for the Riverhawks. So we have been managing both at the ICC and Songus. I have over 35 years of experience in alcohol beverage service, both in a higher education field and in the restaurant field. So I feel that I have the
In
background.
35 years, how many times have you got caught?
Got caught?
Yeah, how many,
Never, never.
a sting, how many
Never.
times? You have never once in 35 years got caught with a sting.
Never.
You're,
But more importantly, in the last year and a half, when you've been managing in Lowell, you haven't had any problems.
Correct.
anything?
No, that was
Can't beat
my
that
question,
one.
yeah. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second it, all in favor, say yes.
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 Boy, if they were all this easy. Next, on the agenda.
Commissioner will
We're,
open
we're,
up-
actually, we're making him earn his money, Ryan, you know? He thought this was gonna be just a walkthrough.
Commission will now open the hearing on the matter of public hearing on the transfer of the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license from Riverhawks Inc., Robert B. Barnett, President, to Aramark Educational Services LLC, Megan C. Timmons, Secretary, for premises at 300 Martin Luther King Jr. Way, Songus Center at UMass Lowell. It is requested that Bruce Perry be approved as manager of record for Aramark, and that the Aramark has applied for the following minor licenses for common vitler, for entertainment and licensed restaurant, and also for automatic amusement device. Mr. Chairman, just for the record, I just want the, whether the Aramark is now going to go into entertainment at the Songus Center or have video games and things of that nature, that will be new, because there has been nothing previously to that as far as the facility is concerned. It's only been the restaurant liquor license and the common vitler's license for the food concession.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Again, it's Joe Devlin from the DeMarcus Law Offices in Lynn, Massachusetts. Bruce Perry is also with me. I would like to, I don't want them all to get mad at me that I dragged them out here, but from UMass, there's Robert Barnett and Peter Casey, who are down at the end there, and also Mr. Perry's right-hand man, Robert Kirkpatrick, is here. He's at the ICC as well. And then the venerable George Eliades, who represents,
Sorry, you mispronounced his name. It's George Elitis,
Who's
193 Market Street.
responsible, by the way, for suggesting to Mr. Devlin?
What do you think, George?
Who's responsible for suggesting to Mr. Devlin that he asked the board for the two hearings be held at the same time? Ryan, so it's my fault, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And for a blow-in,
It's the
by the
same-
way, I think he's done a great
You
job.
know these guys? Do you know them?
I do.
Okay.
I'll coach for them, Mr.
You're here for moral support?
and if I may say one more thing, they're just looking to have the exact same license set up that's at the Songus Center now. So I just filled out every application there was, but if there is no automatic amusement device there, that can be
There-
withdrawn.
On this one, there's no automatic amusement?
We can withdraw it if that's not how it's
No,
licensed.
I have no reason to,
Okay.
no.
I don't care, we just want to know what you're looking
Yeah,
for.
Okay.
right. Yeah,
Make a motion to approve. Oh, we have to open it up, don't we?
yeah, we have to open up. Anybody want to speak in opposition, in opposition, in opposition? That portion of the hearing's closed. Anybody want to speak in favor, in favor, in favor? That portion of the hearing's closed. Motion to grant the license, seconded by, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. We're all set.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
It's nice to see you
You
again.
guys have done a great job with the Songus Arena, I gotta tell you. Great job.
Mr. Barnett said he had a 10-minute speech.
Well, see that, we saved it.
You can take the
Ask
mic
him
if you
to
really
send us
feel like you
copies
have
of it,
to.
okay? Be good bedtime reading.
transfer on the next one.
Commission now open a public hearing on a transfer of the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license from a licensee of record known as Fairleigh Corp. Of Lowell, Mass. Doing business as the Courtyard, Christopher B. Lo Capo is the president. To the corporation known as 280 Central, Inc., doing business as Ward 8, Paul Yates clerk, for premises at 276 280 Central Street. It is requested that Aaron Yates be approved as manager of record for 280 Central, Inc., and that the following minor license applications have been filed for 280 Central, Inc., that is Common Vittler, entertainment and licensed restaurant for live music, disc jockey, jukebox, and also for automatic amusement device.
Introduce yourself for the record.
For the record, Mr. Chairman, James Flood, representing 280 Central, Inc. Also with me tonight is Paul Yates and his wife Erin Yates.
Okay, 1 second, counsel. I'm just trying to check the...
There's no pledge of stock.
There's no pledge of any stock or anything on this, is there?
I'm sorry.
There's no pledge of any stock? No, okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay,
Go on.
yeah, right. I lost my trend of thought. Well, it's old age, you know, I had my teeth
I know
fixed,
what
my
you
hearing
mean.
doesn't work, Jesus, you know,
Well,
it's
this
tough,
is-
it's not easy.
This is the Courtyard Pub that presently exists. Erin owns the building. They had another establishment in Dennisport called the Improper Bostonian, and they had a nightclub called the Proper Bostonian, which recently they've entered into a purchase and sale agreement to sell, and they want to bring all of their energies to Lowell to improve that building and do it over. They've had plenty of experience in the business, and they're here to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay,
I think they're asking for the exact same thing that was there before.
okay. Why don't you get up for a second? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you live?
I live in Revere, Massachusetts. My name's Paul Yates. This
Yeah.
is my wife, Erin Yates. We're going to do a
It's got to be a joy owning you and you know, my wife
yeah.
and I worked together for 35 years. For 35 years, I slept with one eye open. Go ahead.
We're planning to do a Prohibition-era style craft beer bar with gourmet burgers and gourmet pizzas. So we want to focus on good food with good beer. And it's a great location. There's a great outdoor patio we want to focus on for the springtime. It's a nice location. We've owned the building for about 5 years now. We've spent a lot of money on renovating it, the exterior of it. And we want to make it a nice place for people to come and have a nice beer and a burger.
In your years of being in business, how many
I-
times have you got caught?
Caught what?
With a sting operation or?
I got caught once in Revere. We owned a restaurant called The Bistro. We got caught by the ABCC once.
How long ago?
10 years ago.
Beautiful. Okay. You really want to own your own business?
Not really, but we have to. No, I'm
Have you
only
talked to your wife about this?
kidding. Yep. It's going to be a lot of work for both of us.
Any questions?
No, the only thing that I would, since you weren't there on a day-to-day basis on that building, the noise that was coming out of there, there's one particular neighbor.
I've met her already.
Okay.
She's really nice.
is.
She's come over.
It's great.
And,
I'm just letting you know that there have been issues with the sound there before. So.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're going to renovate it, you know, maybe you want to, I don't know if you know, there was a thing on Chronicle last night that this company that had, and it was interesting because we have had a number of places in the city with sound problems. And on Chronicle, they had this guy, engineering company, that designs sound systems so they stay confined in the, I don't understand, you know, I'm not into computers and all that. I have to call my 8-year-old grandson when I want to turn mine on, and he shows me how to do it, you know? But the point being that there's this modern technology was, you know, really supposed to be, you know, something where it prevented
I'll take a look at the
echoes and
Chronicle
stuff
episode.
like that, you know, so that the sound was pure. I don't know, anyways.
Well, I dealt with an acoustical engineer at my last location, it was a nightclub, and we found out that your biggest challenge is actually your building, because sound travels through everything, no matter what it is. So you can't really, there's no such thing as soundproofing, so you can only sound mitigate. So I'll definitely use my experience that I've learned in the past to make sure that I'm a good neighbor. And I want to communicate with my neighbors, and my wife will as well. We want to be a good neighbor. We want to have a different style of place that the Courtyard had before, a little bit more upscale. We want to do something really nice in the city.
Good.
That's great.
Anything, Ray?
What was improper about the improper?
The Improper
Bostonian?
Bostonian, it's in Dennisport. It's been there for 43 years. I've owned it for the last 6 years. It's a nightclub, pizza bar, and Jim Plunkett plays there. He's been playing there for 36 years. It's an entertainment venue on the Cape, open seasonally, and I just recently entered into a purchase and sale.
Great.
So we're going to focus all our efforts on this building in Lowell.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Did we open it up for hearing?
Did we open up? I'm sorry, yeah. I'm sorry, excuse me, thank you.
Yeah, we have to
Get a
open
little
it up,
bit,
right?
this is a public hearing on this one.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, anybody want to speak, just let, anybody want to speak in opposition, in opposition, in opposition? We don't want any opposition. Anybody want to speak in favor, in favor, in favor? See, I never understood why people come in here, it's a public hearing. If I wanted something, I'd call every friend I had, I'd pack City Hall, say, all these people want to speak on my behalf. And I'd probably end up paying them, right?
I think it's great you're making an investment in the city. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Good luck.
I think the next thing on the agenda is on the same building.
Oh, that's right, the back of the,
Mr. Chairman, and we have now an application for a lodging house license by Paul Yates and Erin Yates for second and third floors of the building at 278 Central Street. Zoning Board of Appeals had granted a special permit to renovate the second and third floors into a total of 17 residential units in December of 2011. It's cleared all the requirements as far as notifying and public comment or objection.
okay. Again, can you just tell us a little bit, have you ever run a lodging house?
I haven't, but I've owned apartment buildings.
But what?
I've owned apartment buildings. I've never
yeah.
owned a lodging house.
Okay.
And do you understand some of the difficulties that come, and especially, how familiar are you with that neighborhood?
Well, I've owned the building for 5 years. We actually ran it as a lodging house when we first bought it. And what happened was we went to go renovate it because of the historical nature of it. It took a lot of time to renovate it and a lot of money. But I do understand that the neighborhood a little with all the different rooming houses. We're definitely targeting a different or same clientele. We're just going to be strict, and we're going to run a nice place. We've spent a lot of money on the place. We don't want it to be ruined.
You're gonna have somebody, it's a lodging house, so.
Yes,
people
we're going to have a
come and go.
manager on
A ledger
living
on the
there.
first floor for people have to sign in and sign out at all times. The fire department needs to know who's in the building. So when they leave, they have to sign out, and when they come back, they have to sign in.
Sure.
But, you're gonna have somebody at a desk or
There's an office at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
Which we're actually going to have just an office there, and we can have someone there signing in and signing out.
okay? You're gonna have anybody on duty at night or anything, or?
Well, we'll probably, like at 11 o'clock at night, we'll lock the doors. Or
Okay.
close the,
Close the
Yeah.
office.
yes, close the office. But there'll be a manager on duty living there. So they
Oh,
could-
okay,
they
you're gonna
could-
have a
they could
resident
actually-
manager in the building?
Yeah, there'll be one
Somebody's
of the units is strictly dedicated for the manager, so he'll
Okay.
be able to be there during the day, sign people in and out, but then in the evening, they'll have to go to his door and knock on it to make sure that, but he'll be on premise.
Okay. Yeah, resident manager's a good thing.
Yeah.
Anything? Anything?
No.
No? Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes. Good luck, guys.
Right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're not for it?
All set.
Next on the agenda.
Commission will now take up the matter to do with a hearing on allegations of misconduct as filed by Deborah H. Friedel, who is the Deputy Superintendent of Police, against the licensee known as Mr. Jalapeno, Inc. Brendan T. Doucette is the manager of record. This is premises at 124 Merrimack Street.
Good afternoon, I'm Brendan Doucette.
Okay. Do you, you have an attorney?
I do not.
You know you have the right to an attorney.
I do.
Have you read the complaint?
I did.
Okay. Do you want it read into the record word for word?
Please.
You do. Lieutenant, would you read the complaint?
Yes, sirs. Good afternoon. The complaint concerns the premises known as Mr. Jalapeno Incorporated, located at 124 Merrimack Street in the city of Lowell. Brendan Doucette is the manager. The complaint is detailed in a communication to the Lowell License Commission, and we have Lieutenant Barry Goldner from the police department here to give testimony to the complaint at the location. Selling or delivering alcoholic beverage to a person under 21 years of age in violation of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 138, Section 34, 5 counts. Delivering alcoholic beverages to an intoxicated person in violation of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 138, Section 69, 2 counts. In violation of 204 CMR 2.05, 2 counts. No licensee for the sale of alcoholic beverages shall permit any disorder, disturbance, or illegality of any kind to take place in or on the licensed premises. The licensee shall be responsible therefore, whether present or not. On Thursday, December 8th, 2011, Lowell Police Special Investigations Section detectives under the command of Lieutenant Barry Goldner were conducting alcohol compliance checks at various bars and restaurants. Approximately 11:48 p.m., the detectives were outside of Mr. Jalapeno at 124 Merrimack Street. The detectives observed several patrons drinking in the restaurant, including 5 patrons who were found to be underage. Upon entering the restaurant and conducting identification checks, the detectives, found, and they're listed several people under the age of 21 in the narrative of the complaint, drinking draft beers. Some of them had no identification, including false identification on their persons. One individual of note was highly intoxicated, had no false identification in his possession. There were also 2 that were both 19 years of age that were observed drinking bottles of Budweiser beer. One of whom, of those 2 individuals, had a false Pennsylvania identification. And both of those individuals stated they had not been asked for identification by the bartender. In addition, one of those individuals was found to be highly intoxicated. Bartender on duty was identified as Juan Rivera Santiago. He stated that he had not asked any of the underage patrons for identification, that he knew them. As I said, Lieutenant Goldner from the police department is here to give testimony to the violations, and he did write a report about this incident.
Thank you.
Let's hear from him.
Could we hear from Lieutenant Goldner, just, please? Would you take the stand, just give us your name and occupation?
Lieutenant Barry Goldner. I'm lieutenant in charge of the Special Investigation Unit. On the date in question, just as Lieutenant Rowan had just stated into record, we were conducting alcohol compliance checks in the downtown area. We pretty much made the loop of the downtown, checked almost every bar in the downtown area, and there were 2 establishments that we had a couple issues. At Mr. Jalapeno's, we were standing outside the bar. There was only about 10 or 12 people in the restaurant at the time. We observed some people in there that had been drinking. We went in because we had a complaint from some officers working the downtown patrol earlier in the night that they might have been some underage people around Mr. Jalapeno's. So we ended up going in. We carded some of the people. There was one male, I think, that was drinking Pepsi Blue Ribbon, seated at the bar, who we found, in our opinion, to be intoxicated. He was not carded by the bartender. There were 2 females, as stated earlier, that were sitting at a table, both drinking Budweiser. They were not carded, and 2 males that were seated at the bar in the front of the bar, again, they were not carded. Out of the whole group that weren't carded, there was only one person that did have a false identification. Everyone else had ID with their correct mass license who were under the age of 21. We spoke to the bartender, Juan Rivera Santiago, I believe was his name, and he told us that he knew them. He didn't card them that evening. We advised Mr. Santiago that we were going to have to issue a complaint before the License Commission, and that he would be summoned to court for those offenses, 5 counts of selling, delivering alcohol beverages to a minor. The one female that did have the false Pennsylvania ID was summoned into Lowell District Court for having a false or fictitious identification. We retrieved the info from the license and issued a report.
Any questions?
No question.
Any questions?
Yeah, I got a question. There was a line in there that said that when he was asked about why the people weren't carded, he said he knew them.
Yes.
Were they regulars? He knew them, or what was the?
It's the first time that I've ever been in there, so I honestly didn't know much about the bar. He is here, the bartender, but he just stated he knew them. Whether or not he thought that they were of age, I don't know.
Yes?
Please.
Hello, my name is Juan Rivera Santiago. I'm the bartender at Mr. Jalapeno. And for the matter of confusion right there, is that I knew them. Yes, I knew them because of my regulars there. And wait time, like the first 2-3 times that they came to my bar, I carded them and they were like, I'm not an expert to see if it's a fake or no. It was a Pennsylvanians in Florida driver's license that I carded them. And I just stopped like carding like for the following visits.
They had a Florida licenses?
Yeah, but some of them, yes. But the one, the lieutenant here called me WhatsApp from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. The other one was Pennsylvania.
One had Pennsylvania, one had Florida.
No.
No.
No, I said when they first came in.
Yeah.
Oh, when they first came in?
Yeah.
How often had they been going there?
They, like twice a week, once a week. But back in the summertime, though. That was when I was only just a waiter, and then we opened the bar in September.
Okay. Let's hear your side of now.
Yeah, sorry, I was not there on the premises that night.
You weren't there when this happened.
I was not there. And from my understanding, yes, they were regulars, so at one point in time, they were carded and they presented one with fake identification, I guess.
Let me ask, one of the individuals that was underage had the same last name as you. Is there any relationship?
None whatsoever.
Just, have you had any trouble with us before?
Never before, sir.
He's just recently approved as manager, right?
Right, but Mr. Secretary, has the establishment had any issues with us?
No.
No, okay.
And we've been there for 4 years now.
4 years, okay.
Lieutenant, I see you shaking your head. What?
Yes, I mean, the Lowell Police,
Yeah.
the Lowell Police Special Investigation Unit had identified and caught them selling to minors in the past. For some reason, the complaint was not brought forward, but they were caught and served with a notice that they would be coming before the License Commission, but it was never brought forward for some reason. So you were served before with a notice. I do have a file, I don't have the date on that, but it was within a month or 2 prior to this offense. But for some reason, whether it was a paperwork mishap, it never reached the License Commission.
Okay.
But this is the first time you've been in front of the License Commission?
Yes, and that's my first time hearing about that, too.
Okay.
You never got any kind of a notice on the first time?
I didn't, sir.
Sounds like you're not getting a lot of information from your employees that you're managing. Let me ask, where were you as the manager when all this was happening?
What night was that?
December 8th.
December 8th.
Probably Christmas shopping. I'm sorry. I don't know. I was not around that night.
How many hours do you put in?
At least 35 to 40. during the week, it was on a weekend, and I was not there.
Oh, this was a Thursday night, so it was midweek.
I usually leave around 5 o'clock. But I am there time to time at nighttime too.
Well, as Commissioner Bayless always says, once a place gets the
Yep, you're in trouble.
reputation of serving minors,
Right.
it becomes a place. And obviously, these kids had targeted Mr. Jalapeno because they had once
Right, they think
drank
it's
there,
easy.
and then they continually came.
Is the bar, excuse me, friend, but is the bartender still working for you?
Yes, sir, he is.
Well,
Oh.
you know, the way the ABCC views these special investigations, that they're training exercises, so, you know, you have to, being in a university, the university is right down, and I know people say, oh, you know, I'm from out of state,
Right.
and they come in. You have to be vigilant, and I know he said he was tip certified, but he doesn't know how to tell whether an ID is fake or real.
Right.
That has to be trained into your bartenders when they are working in the establishment. And I'm not gonna comment on any work ethic or not, but a lot of managers that run these establishments are there at nighttime. They're not working 9 to 5, they're working 5 to 2.
Okay.
You know, however your business model is, but you are the one that's responsible for this. So if this is going on, and obviously it sounds like there was another incident, whether you had noticed or not, is one thing, but it sounds like it's getting a reputation as being a place where underage kids can drink, so.
Right, and that's not what I want. We require double identification now. At least everyone has to have a backup.
You know, I'm going to say I'm concerned that the SIU was in there and issued a notice a month or two ago, and you didn't know about it until today, which means that from the management perspective, how well are you managing if you don't know what's going on and nobody's telling you what's happening? Nobody's telling you that the police are issuing, you know, violation notices.
I mean, I think from my point of view, I'm managing pretty well, but
I mean, if your employees aren't telling you, by the way, the police were here and busted us for underage service,
that's something I'm gonna have to take up with my employees now.
that's an understatement.
How many people were in the bar at the time that this was going on? Was it packed?
There was only 10 to 12.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. There was only like 10 people. or
Half of
so.
the people in the
Check
bar
them,
were
they're wrong.
underage.
Well,
Right.
You know, yeah.
And they'd been coming there once to twice a week since the summer.
From my understanding, yes.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, you know, I joke, and I don't want to put a particular downtown restaurant on the spot, but it's a running joke when I go in there for dinner that I get carded. Okay, but it's probably not a bad practice.
Right.
I mean, I'm hoping nobody thinks I look I'm under 21, but,
You don't worry about it.
okay. But I think you got a real problem here if you didn't know that the police had been in there just a month earlier and with the exact same problem.
No, right, yeah, I'm definitely gonna start cracking down on that.
Well,
That sounds great, but
The only thing I can say is it will never happen again, and I'm sorry that it did.
well, it's you know, I'm going to tell you right up front, it surprises me you still have the same bartender. I would have, you know, you're probably maybe the second, if you are that these things happen to that, you know, to me, you know, five counts, you know, of serving to a minor, a couple of drunks on board. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't even make sense. And you know, you just, he's still, you know, it's time you put him out. I mean, I don't mean anything personally against him, but it's time, you know what, I'm gonna take over myself, because this is my livelihood, but obviously it isn't. What do you do for a living?
I work at Mr. Jalapenos.
Huh?
I work at Mr. Jalapenos.
And you have no other occupation?
I work part-time with my stepfather, plowing, landscaping, general maintenance, but mostly Mr. Jalapenos.
Well,
And with Juan, I do believe in second chances. I know he did start cracking down on that, because it did look bad on him. as well as did with me at the restaurant.
Anybody got any suggestions? I think the biggest thing is, as I have tried to say before, once you get a reputation of serving minors, the greatest advertisement in the world, and here we have, a situation where, unfortunately, we have people that want to close the bars, want to shut people down. I mean, unfortunately, I think in downtown Lowell, that's pretty much all we've got left is restaurants and bars. And you get one that starts to go bad, and then everybody gets labeled as the same.
Right.
Okay, so I can't accept the fact that you weren't notified on the first, you would come home and say, when I was a youngster, you'd come home and say to your father, oh, the teacher hit me. And you know what, your father give you a kick in the rear end and say, well, you must have done something to attract attention. Well, obviously, something's going on here that's not,
Right.
My first inclination looking at it was, 5 counts, 5 days closed. Especially now, you got guys admitting they've been drinking there all summer. You had, there's no way in the world that the police went in there a month or so ago, and who was ever on duty at that time knew damn well they were caught. The police do not walk in and just walk out. They go up to the bar or whoever's the bartender or the manager who's in the restaurant at the time, and they tell them right up front, this is what the problem is, and you will be getting a complaint. Now, it's a shame that the complaint, you're saying the complaint got lost. We got lost on our end too, so I'm not gonna, but put all that aside. You knew you had a complaint over a month ago. If you didn't, again, I go back to what Commissioner Occasion's saying, or Weicker, something in your management style. Somebody said, hey, don't tell him, he'll never know, blah, blah, blah. You sure as heck would have found out the hard way if it came down, though, wouldn't you?
I did, sir.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually, it's a little unusual, I'm going to make a motion that we hold this open until the next meeting, and I'm going to ask if the lieutenant can get us that information on the rest of anything else that's there.
Yeah, I can get that file. I looked at it earlier today.
All right.
Sir, I have a report from Detective Downs dated September 21st of 2011 concerning Mr. Jalapeno, the establishment. It's on the iPad. If you wish, I can read the body of her report.
Is that the same one we're talking about?
It could be.
Okay.
Okay, please do.
Okay. So this is a report from Detective Crystal Downs of the Lowell Police Department Special Investigative Section. And it reads, excuse me for just a moment, several establishments were checked for alcohol compliance on that particular date. One restaurant that was being Mr. Jalapeno's sold 2 drinks to underage operatives. And by operatives, I mean the employee on an occasion to do alcohol appliance checks, people that are under the age of 21, to go into establishments without identification and see if they will be served alcoholic beverages.
Oh, like a
without
sting?
payment. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. Detective Downs' report reads, one restaurant that was being Mr. Jalapeno's sold 2 drinks to the underage operatives. The 2 operatives advised these detectives that they went into Mr. Jalapeno's restaurant and sat down at the bar. They stated that they were waited on by a female with half of her hair tied back, wearing glasses, who spoke with an accent. The female operative stated that she ordered a mango margarita, and the male operative ordered a Sam Adams beer. The female waitress then put the 2 operatives' drinks on the bar in front of them. The 2 operatives then paid for these drinks. After paying for these drinks, the operatives left Mr. Jalapeno's. The waitress did not ask for any identification. Detective Desilets and myself, being Detective Downs, in this report then went to Mr. Jalapeno's, identified themselves to the female waitress who fit the description provided by the 2 operatives. The female was identified as Carmen Maria del Pilar, and she was a waitress at the restaurant. There was only one patron in the restaurant at the time, and a male who was working as the chef. They advised Ms. Del Pilar that she had waited on and provided 2 underage people with alcoholic beverages and did not ask for identification. Ms. Del Pilar stated that she was sorry. She then attempted to contact the owner but did not have any, excuse me just a moment, please, any luck. The violation was recorded as occurring at approximately 6:20 p.m., that being September 21st, 2011. I, being Detective Downs, served the clerk with a violation notice. They were unable to locate a liquor license for the establishment.
You don't carry a beeper or anything?
I have a cell phone, sir.
A cell phone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then you have it on? I mean, you own a business and somebody from the business is trying to reach you, they got a problem, and they can't reach you. You know, it's, well,
You were the manager then, right?
Yes, sir.
So Commissioner White has a motion to continue this matter to our next meeting?
Withdraw the motion. It's no longer necessary.
okay, anybody? Well, I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, does the waitress still work for you?
She does, and she will be reprimanded after this, sir.
You gotta do some long, hard thinking. I'm gonna make a motion, we roll your hours back until 11 o'clock for 10 days. Give you a little time to think about it and kind of reorganize things and set some kind of policy down to say, this is the only reason why I'm saying we're gonna roll back, because if you had the other report in your hand, okay, I'd be looking to close you.
Right.
Okay? Half of the customers in your place were minors. Doesn't even make sense. Okay? And you got a bartender that's telling me that they've been drinking there since last summer. It's a blessing they didn't kill somebody. And then, the whole city would be outraged. And they'd either be blaming the police department or the license commission. It had to be somebody else's fault. You're the manager. You've got to be able to be reached 24/7. Something goes wrong in that bar, whoever's there, waitress, bartender, cook, I don't care, bottle washer, floor washer. You have to have a policy. You call me then. You don't wait and hope that nothing happens. They obviously were told, okay? So, I'm going to give you some time to think about it. This is not as severe as
It is in my eyes. I'm very sorry.
Well, so that's it. My motion is to close you to 11 o'clock for 10 days.
I'll second.
I got a second. All in favor, say yes. Yes.
Yes.
No?
No.
You have the right, to appeal the decision, right? No? Oh, no, that's right, it is an appeal. It isn't an appealable decision. So, today's Thursday.
So, Mr. Doucette, if I may just.
Yeah.
Mr. Doucette, essentially you're closed at 11 p.m. each and every night, 7 days a week for 10 days. No food service after 11 p.m. as well. That includes your common vittler's license.
Okay.
As well, and you do not have an entertainment license, so that's not even a consideration here. But the beer and wine, common vittler business. Now, the question is, when do you want this to take effect?
Stop Monday. Stop Monday.
Sorry?
Monday.
Monday?
Monday. Let them,
To that effect, but essentially, Lowell Police will be advised that your place of business will be closing at 11 p.m. starting Monday, February 6th.
Okay.
For 10 days.
And I'd take the time to try to take a look at this thing, because I gotta tell you, I'll guarantee you that half the kids at Lowell High and over at the college, the moment you serve a minor, These kids have it down pat.
Right.
They know exactly what time, they know what the guy looked like, they know what they said, they know how they acted. To me, it's absolutely amazing, okay? And it spreads like wildfire. And it's so difficult. It's just like trying to explain to people, you let one druggie go into your business and sell, just one. And that will spread through your business like wildfire, and you'll have a terrible time trying to stop it. You know, many times people just have to close down.
Right.
Because unfortunately, they just keep coming back. Do you have a machine that reads the IDs?
No, we don't.
You know, Florida ID isn't acceptable.
Right.
Massachusetts ID, Massachusetts driver's license, and even those today. I mean, these kids can sit at a computer and reproduce that better than the good Lord himself could make it.
Right.
So you've got to be that much smarter, okay?
Okay.
Next on the agenda. Next on the agenda.
Commission will open up the hearing on the allegations of misconduct as filed by Deborah H. Friedel, Deputy Superintendent of Police, against the licensee known as SP Entertainment, Inc., doing business as Savannah Palace. Shane Cranmore is the manager of record, premises at 25 Market Street.
Introduce yourself for the record, please.
George Theolides Jr., 133 Market Street, Lowell, Massachusetts, and I'm here this afternoon on behalf of Savannah Palace. Mr. Cranmore, the manager, is here, and his father is also here with me.
Have you read the complaint?
I have.
You want it read into the record?
Well, I don't need it read into the record, but I'm a little confused as to whether or not there's one violation being charged here or two violations, and if so, what those allegations are for each.
Yes, sirs, in reading the complaint regarding SP Entertainment Incorporated, also known as Savannah Palace, located at 25 Market Street, Lowell, Massachusetts, Mr. Shane Cranmore, manager, Lowell Police Department respectfully requests that enforcement action be taken against the above licensee for violations which took place on December 9th, 2011, specifically violation of 204 CMR 4.03, 1B1, no licensee or employee or agent of a licensee shall deliver more than 2 drinks to one person at one time, and violation of 204 CMR 2.05, 2, no licensee for the sale of alcoholic beverages shall permit any disorder, disturbance, or illegality of any kind to take place in or on the licensed premises. The licensee shall be responsible therefore, whether present or not.
Like your notice is different, but I think you're.
The complaint reads on Friday, December 9th, 2000.
I don't need the complaint read in its entirety. My point is,
I know what your point is, Counselor.
Right.
It's really one complaint. The way I read it and the way my esteemed co-commissioners, the illegality is the fact that...
that's what I thought,
count
but I
one.
just got a little confused by
Okay.
the
So
twofold.
Go ahead.
No, I'm not, I'm just...
No, we're trying to figure, we appreciate your...
Well, let me, okay. All right, so
Well, some might not appreciate your input, but we do.
the superintendent's office had filed the letter of complaint to you, sir.
Yeah.
And on behalf of the Lowell Police Department, and that the licensee of record, as far as the police report is concerned, as far as the gist of the police report, based on the cover letter that was submitted by the superintendent's office, the Office of the License Commission sees to it that in notifying the licensee of the time and date of our hearing and what the allegations are, and alleged with the allegations, what violation there may be of state law, state regulation, and local regulation. Specifically, in this letter of complaint, the office took upon itself to see to it that there was 2 individuals, each had a bottle of wine. So specific to the police report, that would count as two counts.
Well, I think it's champagne, $180 a bottle. If it's $20, it's wine.
Sir,
I understand what you're saying, but by definition, Chapter 138 doesn't say champagne is one thing and wine is another. I'm just presuming we all understand
Like a boss and a
as
vase.
adults that champagne is wine,
Yeah.
but a little bit more, creates a little more buzz, if you will.
Buzz.
Sirs, if I may, Detective David Lally from the Lowell Police Department Special Investigations Section is here to give testimony to the observed.
I think that the confusion is that the letter from the superintendent's office to Chairman Bayless says violation of 204 CMR 205 Section 2, which is permitting an illegality. And typically when we have those, that's if there's a fight or something to that effect.
Well,
because isn't any violation illegal?
But well, in one sense, the superintendent's letter is not wrong, and that is the purpose being that the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission created a regulation, specifically what is commonly referred to as happy hour. So it was to control the manner in which licensees were going to be able to serve alcohol beverages at any one time to certain individuals or patrons. And so in the superintendent's letter, they're specifically citing a line verbatim from that regulation.
Yeah.
All I was doing was to kind of and it doesn't exclude that in regards to the cover letter from the License Commission office to the licensee, but all I'm trying to point out in a layman's way of reading it, that we had 2 individuals on the licensed premises alleged, each of whom had a bottle of wine, i.e. champagne.
Which is sparkling wine from the Champagne region of France.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
that is, I agree with you that that's what it says. I think that was the confusion, correct?
Correct.
Correct, okay.
But it's stated as there are 2 different counts. One is that there was service, and the other was that there was misconduct. I assume the service was the misconduct, not
Right.
2 different violations.
We did
Yeah,
too.
when we get those letters, they're generally
Thanks,
kind of bootstrapped that
Yeah.
way. You know.
Okay, would you be kind enough just to kind of
I'll step right out of the way, Mr.
Could we have the officer involved just to, come up and give us, an overall? Identify yourself for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is David Lally, and I'm a detective in the Special Investigations Unit. And on December 9th, we were conducting alcohol compliance checks. Approximately 12:30 a.m., we entered Savannah Palace on Market Street. Upon entering, we noticed that there were numerous individuals drinking straight from the bottle of large champagne bottles. At the time, we felt not only was it a violation of service, but also possibly a safety issue with people carrying around large bottles in a crowded bar. We subsequently identified 2 people. The owner came out, or the manager came out and spoke with us. Very cooperative, explained that he wasn't going to do it anymore, and we had a conversation, and we explained that we're going to document the incident, and here we are today.
Let me ask you, were they selling the bottles directly to individuals, or were they selling them to a table and then some guys getting up and walking around with it?
I actually did not see any sales of it. We just saw there were numerous people walking around the dance floor with bottles of champagne. After speaking with him, I believe he was saying that they were selling it to a table, but that he was going to try in the future have certain places roped off as VIP, but I'm not sure how it was served that night.
But you're saying that they were cooperative, they didn't give you a hard time?
Absolutely.
They go around, they tell the people, did they ask the people to put the bottles down, or?
He said he was gonna take care of the problem and that he was not gonna be serving that way. Like I said, he was gonna look into having a VIP area. We haven't been back since.
Yeah, but even if they had a VIP area, they still can't serve it in bottles, can they?
They explained to us that you could serve a bottle of wine to a table.
Oh, to a
in
table,
front of a
yeah.
restaurant. But the incident that night was more that people were walking around champagne bottles.
Right.
Yeah, no, the rule basically says you can't serve a pitcher of beer unless there's 2 individuals. You can't serve a bottle of wine unless there's 2 individuals, or unless you go down to these small individual-sized bottles. So.
Yeah, so if you got a
so if
bottle
there's-
of champagne, you
yeah,
got 2 people.
The question is if they're serving it, and then the question is, I mean, I'm just wondering, are they like, kind of like, it's on the table and some guy goes, yeah, I'm partying.
Grab it.
But it seems like a more public, a
And this is
safety
a
issue.
Safety
as
issue, I
opposed to-
agree with you, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Got any questions?
No.
Got any questions?
No.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Wonderful, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I'll adopt
Well, you know-
almost entirely the officer's testimony, and just want to add a couple of things. Number one, there was a duty officer there. Number two, the sale was made to the table, and
There was a detail officer?
yeah, detail
okay.
officer there. Number two, the sale was made to a table. Mr. Cranmore was there morning, noon, and night, as is his manager. They didn't see it happen when the officer was nice enough to call it to their attention. As he indicated, I think they were cooperating with him. They now saw the gentleman told them that they couldn't do it that way. And he certainly well knows now that the process and the procedure is a little different, and that'll never happen again. And he certainly is willing to make that clear. And that's why we have both Mr. Cranmore.
Have we had
and
any other complaints?
his manager. This man he's been in business for more than 2 years, or about 2 years, hasn't had a single complaint of any kind. I believe the officers and the police department can confirm that. Runs a great operation.
Make a motion to put on file.
I'm in a second.
Oh.
Well,
Motion
before
made.
just before we vote on it, what have you done to change the way that you're serving the champagne?
Come over here, identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Shane Cranmore, manager of Savannah Palace. We have an area that we really only sell one area now. We sold to tables. We had 3 or 4 different tables. We only sell to one, which is kind of like blocked off, just like with this.
Right.
And we have security that is really on top of it as far as, anyone that goes in and out of that section. We really cracked down.
Okay.
I mean, I'll say, I've been inside your place. You guys do run a pretty tight ship. That's why I was a little shocked when I heard this. So, like I said, we haven't had any problems with you, and I know you guys do a very good job with security, so.
Thank you.
We got a motion to place the letter on file. We got a second. All in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank you, officer. Next on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, there is applications that need to be scheduled for hearings. First application that has been filed is for alteration of premises by the licensee known as the Middle Street Village, Inc., doing business as Village Smokehouse, an all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 9298 Middle Street. This application specifically has to do with the sidewalk seating area. In 2010, the Lowell City Council authorized the city manager to enter into a license agreement with the licensee in order to have sidewalk seating in front of the business known as Village Smokehouse. It has taken the licensee about maybe a year and a half to finally move on an application such that it would include that sidewalk area as part of their licensed premises to serve alcohol beverages and food. This application would be a public hearing, require a public hearing, which a legal notice to be published for a specific date and for a hearing to be scheduled at a certain date. The applicant would have to notify property owners touching in any church, school, or hospital within 500 feet. Yeah, my understanding is that the licensee is apparently has an agreement with the city to fill in a certain portion of the street and the sidewalk area.
That was the question I was going to ask, is I saw the plans that were submitted, and it shows, I guess, the elimination of the parking spots in front of that address and the sidewalk extending down on a kind of like a double-wide sidewalk basis.
Right, there was a
Has that
similar
already-
situation that took place
For
5
what
years
used to be
ago with the
Paradiso?
place, yeah, which is now closed,
Fuse?
Cafe Paradiso, but now known as Fuse
Well,
Bistro.
Okay. Well,
I have-
has that already
excuse
been
me for
through
interrupting
planning
you.
and zoning?
Excuse me for interrupting you, maybe you can answer this question, because I haven't, have you seen the drawings?
No.
No, okay.
You might not have looked.
We had some complaints about, and I forget who forwarded the complaint in, but we had some complaints about Paradiso in that the sidewalk is between the building and where they serve alcohol. And the ordinance specifically says that it must be continuous to the building and a 4-foot walkway maintained beyond it, okay? So I'm just wondering if they're gonna do this, are they planning it so that, because we've already had,
We can ask them that at the hearing, can't we?
It was Centro, and it was one out-of-town individual that.
Was it
wrote
Centro?
Centro,
Who
yes.
complained that they,
Complained that they couldn't push their baby stroller.
I mean,
Okay.
we'll ask them when we get them in here, but basically, yeah, from this sketch, it looks like that's already going through. I guess there has to be a change in the drainage that has to be part of the build-out. So that's why I was wondering if
Okay.
that's already
All right.
gone through
Okay.
planning and zoning, and
Well, I mean, I just.
are we the last step in the process, or are we the first? Are they gonna say, well, we're not gonna do it unless we get the amendment, or?
Well, it only stands to reason as far as the business, from a business perspective, that if the city licensing board is not going to allow them to utilize an area for alcohol beverages, there's no point in them going to the expense. But it's my understanding, and I just was on a related matter to do with this application, I had spoken to one of the city engineers, not that he is the official word, but there was some comment made about the Office of Division of Planning and Development which is under the city manager's direction, that they were involved with this particular business and maybe a cause for why there was a delay on this application, to make sure that the layout would be acceptable in various aspects to it. I don't know, as far as the zoning is concerned, whether there's a special permit or variance required. I don't know if the planning board had to move on it. I would think the planning board would have had to concurred with the council, or vice versa. The planning board would have had to have done something before the council would have stepped in to have the license agreement in place so that the manager could execute that document. But that particular information, I have no firsthand information.
Yeah, but I just out of curiosity, I mean, obviously, we're gonna have to hear from them and we'll ask them
Well,
about the whole layout.
yeah,
and
see, we
everything
need
else.
that, that's it, we don't want them to, I'm not being a wise guy or trying to give anybody a hard time. I mean, certainly we should grandfather ones that have been done. But I remember the specific complaint, and I'm just thinking, out loud, why would these folks that are from the Village Smokehouse gonna make obviously a sizable investment if they're gonna move the drainage and whatnot to put this in, and then find out that, it's in violation of the state regulation. They're out a lot of money for nothing, and it
Well,
doesn't seem fair.
that's the,
And it'd have to be approved by the ABCC before they'd even go forward, right?
Yeah, so I'd say let's put it on for a
Okay.
hearing.
All right, because I think that, it's a great idea. I mean, you go up into Nashua, and
I think it's great.
they have outdoor
Sidewalks,
dining
yeah.
everywhere. It's just fantastic, really nice.
And within the city, I think it happens at more than one spot where there's a sidewalk in between.
Oh, absolutely,
And
you're right.
We've got one complaint.
Yeah, no,
For
I,
years that I've.
Yeah,
correct, wholeheartedly.
exactly.
But, we have certain people around here that,
certainly all of this is with respect to pedestrian right-of-way, so that has to be maintained, and I don't think the city council in its authorization to the city manager on the license agreement would deviate from the fact that there has to be a 4-foot pedestrian right-of-way.
Right.
And I think, practically speaking, it may be more conducive to have that 4-foot maintained nearest to the building.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not against it. I think it's great. I mean, I just don't, I mean, everything people are so, I don't know the word I'm trying to think of that could be said on television, but people they're looking for things. If they put half the energy that they put into some of these, things that they do, going around worrying about, finding fault with this, if they put half the energy into trying to make something good and looking for what a wonderful place the world would be,
I believe the Lowell downtown business residents, or the residents downtown, are well aware of this matter, because I had an email from somebody who represents the downtown association, and she indicated that she was aware of this in 2010, but she hadn't realized that there was still more to be done as far as in speaking of this application.
All righty.
So it'll be a busy meeting.
Yeah.
Then there is the other application for a beer and wine package store license for a corporation known as Test and Build Inc., Sanjita Patel, president, for premises at 1088 Gorham Street. Now, I attempted to PDF document that to you. Did you receive it?
No. You got it?
Okay.
No.
That's the party place next to the school?
Yeah, it's, which we know as Rosenblum's, I guess they had a party store.
There's a package store right on the other corner.
We're gonna
Okay.
withhold judgment.
Huh?
We should wait until the hearing.
Let's wait till the hearing and
Gorham Street is well represented.
Okay, next on here, we'll put it on for a public hearing.
And then we have our communications. As far as the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, last year, this board had approved an application that was filed on behalf of a corporation known as Q&Q Restaurant, Inc. Presently, the business is a corporation that's doing business as China Buffet. It's a separate corporation. I have the papers here in front of me. I should read from it. Here, and here's copies for your...
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I got this from you. Yeah.
What's happening here is that the corporation that presently holds the license was transferring its license, and that the new corporation was seeking to not only receive the transfer, but also to upgrade to an all-alcoholic license. And this was approved by the Lowell License Commission on December 1st, 2011. I had conversation with the investigator from the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, who then followed up with our conversation with a recommendation of the investigator, communication in writing, and that according to the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, stating as such, this application cannot be completed at this time. The application is for a transfer of license and simultaneously upgrade from a wine and malt to an all alcohol. The buyer may complete the transfer and then apply for a new all-alcohol license. And so the Form 43, which is the form that licensing authorities, their office is attached to such application and forwarding paperwork to Boston, to the ABCC, states it's for all alcoholic. And it's suggested to the License Commission that the city vote for the transfer of the wine and malt in order for the transfer to be considered. So simply put, the ABCC is suggesting that the licensing board start with the transfer of the beer and wine license.
they want us to do it in 2 steps rather than 1.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Since we've already voted for it, can I make the motion to renew the vote to approve the transfer?
Certainly, I was just wondering if...
I think it's already been opened up, it was already held for public comment.
We had the hearing on December 1st, it was advertised, it just so happened that the legal notice included the mention of an all-alcoholic license as part of this application. It would stand to reason, I would think that I would just forward the paperwork as simply as a transfer only.
right.
and leave it at that. And if they accept it as such and that the board confirm that vote at today's meeting, and that any further action on an upgrade will have to come by way of another application from the transferee in this matter at a
It's
later
another
date.
$200 fee to the state for the upgrade
Plus, we'll have to do
application.
another
Yeah.
legal notice and all of that, so.
Well,
I would second the confirmation of the vote.
yeah.
All in favor?
Say yes,
Yes.
yes. But Brian, they already did advertise for an alcoholic license.
But, but here's the perspective, you have to understand what's going on here. Simply, you and I, and all of us here in the city of Lowell can say, well, that's fine, we don't have a problem with this going forward as a transfer and an upgrade. But the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission has a certain set procedure in place.
Yeah.
And they want to make sure that when they deal with a transfer in the first instance, they're going to notify the Department of Revenue and all of the other state agencies that have any interest in such businesses for the Commonwealth, to make sure that all of the issues that relate to the business are taken care of, tax-wise and otherwise. It also, that would be, just as a personal reflection on this matter, the manner in which the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission amended its application process almost makes it that easy to do. You could almost do several things at once, but
This isn't one of them.
The example is this. In old math, when you took the test, if you got the right answer, that's what mattered. In new math, they don't care about the answer, they just want to see the work. So the ABCC is asking us to show the work, and they don't really care if we got to the right answer.
Okay. But I know, and it's a shame, because I always like that place. That's Tassi Puglia.
well, it's not over, it's just that they're just gonna have to be a little
One
more
of the
patient.
booths, they should put a plaque. Tassi was here. That was his favorite place in the whole world to eat.
Now, we have a communication from our city manager, it was dated January 11th, regarding the board considering a change of its meeting time to a Thursday at 6:30 PM to accommodate the public. That matter was not acted or considered at the time of our last meeting because it was not on the agenda. The board had a hearing in consideration of an earlier communication from the manager with respect to Monday evenings at 6:30, but it's for all intents and purposes, it's not practical for the board to schedule anything on Monday evening because there are two other boards that schedule meetings on Monday nights. The planning board and the zoning board do an alternate.
Well, I'll make the same motion I made for the Monday night. I'll make the motion that we publish a notice for Thursday night, put it on for the first meeting in March.
Why don't we just take the letter and place it on file? I'm not, really. I mean, we can go on and on and on with this. I don't know. Well, you got a motion, I shouldn't have interrupted, I'm sorry.
Do you have
What is it? I'm the decider
No,
between you two.
no.
You can pick which one you want to second.
Do you want to second his
I
motion?
have one person mad at me and
No. Look, we may disagree. If folks
know.
don't understand, we sit here and we may disagree. When we walk away, we're still friends and I mean.
This is the thing. Do we have to have a public hearing on it? That's my, can't we just discuss it? Like,
Well, I guess we could.
we had public,
To me, there's nothing to discuss, even to this point. No one from the city manager's office or the law department has had the common courtesy of calling me or you or Commissioner Weicker. No one. Bernie runs everything like King Bernie, and I'll say it right now, okay? And he's not. There are rules and regulations, there are things that have to, for the mayor of this city to threaten this board, wait till they see what I do to them next. Hey, Mr. Murphy, I'm here anytime. It doesn't faze me in the least.
In fairness,
I'm
you're
not the-
relying on the Lowell Sun to have gotten that
Well,
right.
I mean, it was quote unquote, so let him argue with the Lowell Sun, okay? But, you know, I've always been the one of the board here between all of us that, I mean, I can show you, I didn't save any newspaper articles, but if we went back, I was always the one that was the most conservative and the hardest and the this and the that. Look, all of this nonsense, when we get to this next motion, okay, you know, we have this meeting. If this meeting concerns you, and it's of any great concern, you would show up at this meeting. Simple enough. I make a motion to put the letter on file. If it gets pursued any further after, then we'll turn around and we'll have a public hearing and do it all over again. That's my motion, place the letter on file.
And I know there's a first motion, which is to do with,
Just waiting to see which one gets seconded.
we're,
Or if we get a third motion that says,
Yeah.
let's just do the discussion now.
Let's have a third one.
well,
You know,
it just, if I can just say from my perspective, in the terms of obviously Thursday is the day, one way or the other, either be a 3 o'clock meeting or a 6:30 PM meeting. It doesn't appear that, I know I think the planning board, I think, has rescheduled something for the week of, which is school vacation week, which is in February, the week ending February 25th. Since Monday, the February 20th is a legal holiday, they have scheduled their hearing or meeting for Thursday, February 23rd at 6:30 PM. I saw that on the bulletin board. But practically, you know, so this board would have to take Thursday, continue to do meetings on Thursday. It's just a question is whether we'll meet on a Thursday at a 3 PM time like today, or consider 6:30 PM. And that's what's really at the focus here.
And my only other question is, my question is, how about city council subcommittee meetings? Don't they typically meet Thursday at 6:30 in this room? Or do they vary?
They don't, you know, there's we have like 20 subcommittees,
Right.
and obviously they can't do everything before 6:30 PM on a Tuesday,
Right.
and so sometimes they do have to reschedule things.
Okay. No, just because I know, like, when Commissioner Bayless went and spoke to the safety subcommittee, that was a Thursday night that you came in. I just, you know, my inclination would be that we just, you know, I'd like to think about it a little more as to what we got to do. So I would just like to continue it until the next meeting, and then we can redo our motions then, and.
All right, so each of our motions dies for lack of a second. We have a motion to continue to the
I'll
next
second.
meeting.
So
Seconded.
shall I put that on the agenda for our next regular meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
For further consideration?
Yes.
So I'll second your motion. All in favor, say yes.
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 To be
Squirmed
continued.
out of it.
To be continued. Now, the question is, for the fact that.
Were you here to speak on that today? Yes. Well, do you want, I mean, they sat through an hour.
Oh, no, we're not that way. Come on up.
Come on up
Hey,
and grab the microphone.
We really aren't as mean as we look.
Well, two of us aren't.
Hi, my name is Sandy McNamara. I'm the Vice President of the CNAG Group, Centerville Neighborhood Action Group, and they are definitely in favor of the change. Many of them work, and it's hard for them to be at the meeting for whatever reason.
Earlier you said more people should participate in public hearing, but you're not going to give up a day's pay to come here.
Oh, I agree, ma'am.
Oh, actually,
But I mean, they have
do
all
every time
kinds
I
of
come
meetings
here.
during the day. They just had a big meeting for cutting down 3 trees. Okay, they just had a big public meeting. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon for cutting down 3 trees. People turn out to save the trees. If it was my neighborhood, I'd sure as heck turn out to save my neighborhood.
I have to
We
agree.
are all...
I have to agree.
Right. We are all so busy, and it's all about me. I don't really care if I inconvenience you. It's about me. What concerns me, okay?
that's gonna get
I
taken out of
I don't care
context.
how they take it out. Okay, for your information, I'm on a board of directors that meets Thursday nights. That isn't the reason why I'm against this, okay? The reason why I'm against it is because somebody's going to start treating you like a human being. All this mess came about without one person having the decency to even speak to the people that it was going to affect. And you know what? I'm not scared of any of them. I'm a big boy and I can take it. All right? And I mean, I've done a lot of projects in this city over the years, and I thoroughly love Lowell. But all of a sudden, we've gone into a regime where, it's all about me. I spoke to a lady the other day with a restaurant in downtown Lowell, and she said to me, "You should have been around when I was trying to build this restaurant." The same people that showed up at the meeting at 3 o'clock tried to stop her from building the restaurant. Okay? I mean, it's all about me. And that's really not what it is. We're trying to be understanding here. We're trying to do what is best for the community. There are people that just don't want any bars. I ask you, Commissioner Weicker has a very lengthy motion here, but I'm gonna add to that motion, okay? Isn't it funny that we have an auditorium in downtown Lowell that attracts thousands of people? We have a strongest center that attracts thousands of people to the city of Lowell, okay? We have never, ever once had anybody arrested for drunk and disorderly that drank at the Songus or the auditorium or any other public venue. But the poor businessman that's all by himself, we are gonna slam him. We're gonna show him that we're in charge. You know what? If I wanted to live nice, quiet, I'd move to a suburban area. I wouldn't move into a downtown area. That's not to say that these people should be allowed to run rampant, but it is to say that it's a different lifestyle living in a city. Go back home to Chelmsford. Go to Tingsboro. Go to Drake, go to Dunstable. They don't have downtown areas. They're nice and quiet. That's why a lot of the employees in this city live in surrounding towns. Just look it up. They don't live downtown because they want to go home to peace and quiet.
Well, I can end with this. The man sitting next to you knows there's no other person more than me that decisions are made on principle.
Yeah.
And I can understand your principle and where you're coming from.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Thank you
your
for
support.
sitting through the meeting.
Bye.
Sorry to make you sit through this whole meeting. You can come again, we're very entertaining.
I'm upset.
Huh?
I'm not touching that.
Oh, okay, thanks, man. All right. What's this one here?
Okay,
Mr.
Ken, before
Secretary,
we
I'm
move
actually-
on to the next, now that you've already established the fact that we'll continue to hold a meeting at 3 PM, can you consider a date so that I can then do the proper thing of notices?
Are you,
I'm going in the hospital on the 14th. So, a meeting right around, I'm going to be in at least 4 days, 4 or 5 days.
How long are you gonna be out after that?
I really don't know. I won't know that until next Tuesday.
Would it make a difference if we met on the 16th or the 23rd?
Well,
I would definitely
respectfully
say the
ask that you
23rd.
don't schedule anything for the 23rd. First of all, because I won't be
Okay.
in the building. I hope not to be in the building that day.
Then I'll make a motion for the 16th,
It'll have to be you too, I know it.
Okay,
if you can do it.
but
the problem is with the 16th, because of the two applications that require legal notices to be published, I would have to get them to the Lowell Sun, and I don't think it will be published for tomorrow. That's too late for tomorrow.
Why don't we meet March 8th?
You can reach either March 1st or March 8th. You want to be March 8th?
Well,
What would be the normal one in March?
We want Commissioner Bayless with us,
yes.
God willing.
Yes, God willing, I will.
I would suggest then March 8th.
March 8th. Yeah, we're going to go back to the,
Argument at 2 o'clock on March 8th, but okay.
For March 8th for 3 PM.
Okay.
All right.
okay.
I'll make a motion that we meet March 8th at 3 PM.
Thank you.
Second. All in favor, say yes.
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 So getting back to communications, Superintendent of Police prepared a breakdown of the department crime activity for downtown area 2010-2011 comparison, which the commission didn't have an opportunity to review at our last meeting on January 12th. It's now before you for consideration, and following up that, I think Commissioner Weicker has
Had some questions on it.
response to it by way of a motion of his own.
And I actually found a typo in my motion. Paragraph 7.
No, subsection 6.
Actually, funny enough, you should mention that. It actually, it says if the answer to any of the above in 5 above, it should be in 6 above.
I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
On number 7, right here, it should be in 6 above. That should be 6. Right
There we
there
go.
where it says 5.
He wasn't big in
Oh,
math.
six.
He wasn't big in math.
I'm very bad at typing.
6, okay.
All right, but yeah, no, where I see, basically my motion is where I see that there's all of these arrests being made, and we're being told by at least one bar owner who spoke the other day that the increase in arrests being made at his establishment are because he's hiring more detail officers and asking that, rather than kids who show up at the door with a fake ID, have their fake ID taken away and sent on their merry way, he's actually asking to have them arrested. So I want to see, if that is true or not true, that, that the increase in arrests is due to more vigorous enforcement by these establishment owners, or whether they're just lying to us and saying, oh no, it's because I'm so great, not because things are so bad. So what I'm looking for is information by way of the police department in preparing this report as to what happened as a result of all of those incidents. Were they prosecuted or not? Were charges taken out against anybody at the bar for doing anything wrong, or was it against the individuals for doing something wrong? If there were violent acts, were they members of gangs that were involved in this? Or are we talking about, two drunks in a fight, or are we talking about, members of rival gangs? I mean, there's a big concern. I'll tell you that I had somebody who called me and said that, this license commission is responsible for the stabbing that happened on John Street. Okay, that's God's honest truth. That's a phone call I got. Somebody said that we were responsible and that we should be held civilly liable and sued. I thank them for their opinion, but, I might have not been that nice, but okay. In any event, I disagree with that position, but I want to know what the source of this disorder is. Is it that people are coming in and creating all of these problems? Is it that we have a homegrown problem? Are we just getting more arrests because we're being better about law enforcement? Or are we getting more arrests because there's such an increase in, violence and disorder? Numbers are numbers, but we're being recorded, so I can't use my remark about statistics. But basically, statistics,
Yeah.
once you put them down,
They've heard it
they can
before.
say whatever you want.
Well, because it is interesting that the city of Lowell crime rate has supposedly fallen drastically, but the crime within the bars has increased markedly. So there's got to be some
Right.
playing with
And
the
I remember,
numbers there.
and I remember the last time we got a report, like half of the disorder incidents downtown were people trying to pass fake IDs or fake $20 bills. So I want to know if that's our number that we're looking at, if the percentage change of, I guess, like 100% in some cases is because, more people are trying to use funny money in a down economy, or if it's, we have people out there, shootings and stabbings and, assaults on my. So that's what I'm asking for by way of the motion. I know it's really detailed, but I don't think it's that hard because it's more or less a yes, no on almost all of them.
So on the motion that's on the agenda, you want all that stuff?
With that one correction on line 7 being, with respect to the above.
I'll
Yes.
second the motion.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor, say yes.
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 And if you don't mind, I'd just like to add to that motion, if I could. I'd like to know how many people that were that have been at the Songus Arena or at the Auditorium or any of these major city venues like the Inn and Conference Center. How many of these? Has there ever been a problem with anybody in any of those places? It just seems strange to me. Okay. Do you mind if that goes with it?
Sure.
Okay. Was that the last on that agenda? Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, I have to, before you adjourn, if you take the vote, but I have to bring to your attention a concern of mine that I think I should share with the board before this meeting is adjourned. Has to do with the licensee across the river on Lakeview Avenue at 101 Lakeview Avenue, Grace Garden.
Oh, yeah.
I had a conversation with an attorney involved with the transaction, a business transaction to do with Grace Garden at 101 Lakeview Ave. Grace Garden has a beer and wine license for a restaurant. The attorney informed me that he and another attorney involved with the transaction, the buyer and seller representatives, have consummated the sale of that business, and that the buyer is now going to close the business as of this Monday, and close the business for a period of a month in order to do some renovation work on the premises. Now, this is a license that the License Commission had approved and it was issued in 2011 at the end of the summer for beer and wine to a corporation known as Lee & Lee LLC, a limited liability company. The attorney took me totally by surprise. I was totally upset with the attorney and the manner in which he proposed this situation to me. I advised him and I told him in no uncertain terms that what he had done was illegal and that it had to be an application filed with the License Commission for a transfer of license before the matter could be, a purchase and sale agreement or any other such transaction could take place, and that the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission also had to approve the transfer. It is my recommendation to this board now that that license be suspended forthwith and that the attorneys involved with this transaction come before you to explain exactly what it is they think they were doing to allow a licensee to move a license without the License Commission's knowledge and consent, and not even to go through the formal formality of an application. The attorney that I spoke with, I'm well acquainted with. He has been before this board in the past. He has represented liquor licensees in the past. He had the audacity even to say to me that they wanted an upgrade to a all-alcoholic license, the buyer. And I said, when he told me who the attorney was that was representing, I believe, the licensee, I said, stands to reason, the same attorney that has dealings with the business known as China Buffet. And so I would ask that the board consider a suspension of their license and that Lowell Police Department be duly informed of this matter, and that there be no alcohol beverage sales service until the matter comes before you at the next time.
I'll make a motion that to instruct the Lowell Police to go and seize the license.
Yeah, forthwith.
Second the motion.
I agree. This is,
Yeah, it's crazy.
well, it basically affected a transfer of a license without having an approved transfer of a license. So there is no license holder with a business at that address. There shouldn't be a license on the wall.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. If you could take care of that for us.
Yes, sir.
Okay, before we go for an adjournment, we had a newspaper article delivered today to the office, and it talks about an experiment and later closing for clubs and may continue. And it seems down in Providence, Rhode Island, they've had many problems, I guess, with bars and nightclubs and whatnot. And somebody in their wisdom came up with this. It's going to probably really sound crazy, but what they said was, it looks to me like they extended the hours from 2 o'clock till 3. And on Saturday and Sunday, they have a shut-off of 1 o'clock in the morning, you can't let anybody in your bar after. But anyways, they've met with tremendous results. They have quite a feature right up here in the paper about it. I think this was probably the Providence Journal, or Providence Journal. I'm going to leave this with the secretary and ask that he forward copies of this to the chief, Captain Webb, the city manager, the mayor, members of the city council, and the law department.
I think,
Anybody else you think we could?
No,
I mean, it's very, very interesting that they have chose to actually change the take legislative action to change the hours and everything in order to avoid the problems, which many times, people look at it, it's always, somebody else's, but you're dumping all these people on the street at the exact same time. And somebody said, well, gee, maybe if we went and tried to get them staggered. And if you think about it, in another vein, they've done this in Boston with the traffic. They've gotten them through the Chamber of Commerce, gotten together with businesses, and have changed some of the hours that they let people out of work. Therefore, I don't think it's myself personally, if you've ever fought that traffic into Boston or out, but they claim that it would be a lot worse if everybody got out at the exact same time. So I'm not saying that this is the answer by any means, way, shape, or form, but I am saying it's interesting that it's an interesting way to look at it.
just so the record is clear, so we don't have 1,000 hate mails and phone calls. It doesn't suggest extending alcohol service hours.
No.
Only the hours at which people have to be off the premises, and it's not for all clubs, it's only for certain clubs in order to stagger the times at which everybody's going to the garages, to the parking lots, out onto the streets, in order to prevent large crowds from making as much noise and other problems. But, okay.
I mean, you
Cut down the hate mail.
Exactly, cut down on, I appreciate that. Hate mail is one, I think some of these people don't have a life. They're just, it's unbelievable. I'd like to, make sure that someone extended, congratulations to Captain Webb, and they read the recent article in the Lowell Sun about them arresting various people in the downtown for lewd, lascivious behavior. It was interesting that one of them had a false ID, and when they asked him what he was going to do with it, he mentioned he was going to go out to have a couple of drinks. So this would intimate that he hadn't been drinking, he just, this is the way it is. And unfortunately, very much so, many of the young people today have absolutely no consideration or care or towards the public or anything. But, they did a great job. I would hope that they would tie them up. When they do arrest them, they take them down there can be a million ways to tie up the paperwork. You know that, and I know that, everybody, and there's no need to, this paperwork got lost on this guy. We know it didn't get lost. We know that, obviously somebody got their hands on it and said, don't tell the boss about this one. So I think they did a great job, and I think it's important that they know that I think was what a lot of the bar owners want. They want the police to be picking these people up. They don't want to be blamed for everything that's going on that's wrong. So my caduce. Anything?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, sure. Motion to adjourn, seconded, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Coming home, Benjamin.